Hello, trauma warriors. I'm Janae with Defeating Childhood Trauma, and welcome to the Hope Circuit finale, the binge cut. All 5 episodes stitched together into one continuous flow. We've spent this entire Hope Circuit series exploring how the brain stabilizes, rebuilds, and learns how to move forward again. For this final bench cut, we're zooming in on one last foundational piece, the DRN, aka the brain's serotonin factory. This is where chemistry, inflammation, and emotional steadiness begin to intersect in powerful ways. Let's bring the Hope Circuit to its final layer. Yesterday, we wrapped up the reward center of the Hope Circuit. Today, we're moving to the last department, the DRN, dorsal raphe nucleus. It's down here because it's in the lower part of the brain. Down here in the brainstem, in fact. The DRN is one of the main centers in the brain that produces and sends out serotonin. Most serotonin actually lives in the body, primarily the gut, but the DRN is what distributes it through the brain. So contrast this with what we've learned so far. Dopamine is what gets you going. It's anticipation and drive. The DRN is what helps you feel okay going there because the DRN is your baseline. It stabilizes the mood and keeps things from going too far, too fast. So all the work we've done with rebuilding reward, getting out of the loop, bringing curiosity back online, the DRN is what makes it actually click. Because if this part of the system is off, you could be doing everything right and still feel flat, not chasing relief or stimulant or reward, just nothing fully landing. And this can look a lot like the boredom wall, but the boredom wall usually eases with small, gradual repetition. Sometimes the flatness lasts longer because the baseline itself is still adjusting, and that's where the DRN comes in. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about what happens when the DRN gets pushed out of balance and why your system can start rejecting calm even when you need it. Yesterday, we met the DRN, the serotonin factory for the brain. Today, we're going to talk about what actually knocks it off balance. When trauma has been ongoing, cortisol can stay active far longer than it should. Even after the danger is over, the body can act like it still isn't. That's when dynorphins step in to numb emotional pain and to remind us, don't do that. Remember consequences. That part's protective. But then dynorphins gotta run and play tattletale to the hippocampus, your brain's memory storage, just to make sure you always remember. The hippocampus obliges with, oh, that felt dangerous. We shouldn't do that again. And promptly starts handing out permission scripts to dopamine, the literal star of the entire Hope Circuit, the body chemical that's all about looking forward and moving forward. Those permission scripts sound something like, I'd better not try that. Don't risk it. I'd better stay small. And dynorphins slowly rise to power, reinforcing cortisol's control. Because dynorphins and dopamine work like a seesaw. High dynorphins, low dopamine. So the higher the dynorphins, the fewer options you can see. This is what the felt sense of reality looks like. Options shrink because everything looks dangerous or like we're surrounded by hot lava. And that's how the DRN starts going off balance. Not because serotonin disappeared, but because survival started overriding it. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about why calm keeps getting rejected, even when it's exactly what you need. Yesterday, we talked about what causes the DRN to go off balance: prolonged cortisol, dynorphins staying high, and the world starts shrinking. Today, we're going to talk about what the DRN actually does when it loses stability. The DRN is supposed to send steady serotonin signals to parts of the brain. Calm, stability, okay enough signals. But when survival's been running the show too long, the DRN starts tilting away from serotonin and towards survival chemistry instead. This is why parts of the brain that need it most start getting less serotonin. That's when calm starts feeling strange or just plain wrong. Slowing down might feel dangerous, or stillness might cause your body to freak out and you don't even know why. Calm might not even register as peaceful because calm might feel more like the calm before the storm. That's because the system believes it's living in an active battlefield, and calming down or relaxing in an active battlefield could actually cost it its life. So even when life is finally safer, the calm signal still doesn't fully land. That's because the baseline is still tilted towards survival. This is why people can leave danger and still feel like peace is uncomfortable. Not because they did anything wrong, but because the DRN is still adjusting. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the worst case scenario. What happens when the DRN tilts too far into the quinolinic acid territory? Yesterday, we talked about the DRN tilting away from serotonin and towards survival chemistry. So today, what happens when that tilt goes on too long? This is the worst case scenario. Quinolinic acid keeps rising and serotonin keeps dropping. And because we already talked about how dynorphin dominance lowers dopamine, the drive has weakened. And GABA, the brakes, start dropping too. So where does that leave us? We've got a car with no brakes, no driver, but the gas is still pedal to the metal. That's how glutamate becomes the loudest surviving signal. And it causes the brain to shift into overdrive, hyper focus on threat, emotional permanence, and setback magnification. And this is the recipe for losing resilience. Problems stop feeling temporary and start feeling like you'll never recover from any setback. Because now your brain's recovery department can't do its normal job, helping you process emotional pain safely by giving you perspective so that you can reset after a setback. This is the kind of prolonged trauma Steve described to me last year in our first interview when he described what happened to his will to live circuitry before TMS restored its function. I realized I needed to start researching what happens to the brain at this extreme level. Our second deep dive interview a few months ago helped confirm my research on how severe this chemistry shift can, in fact, get. Tomorrow, we rebuild. Get your screenshots ready because I will be sharing a full 2-page spread from my research binder because I did more than just research what prolonged trauma does to the brain. I also researched what we can do about it, even when it's at its most severe. Today, as promised, I'm sharing with you an actual 2-page spread from my research binder on signs of inflammation and what we can do about it to reverse adverse effects that we covered yesterday. Here's the 2-page spread. Let's start with the right page first. Inflammation signs, mental and emotional signs, sudden dip in mood, especially if you're usually regulated, increased irritability, anxiety, hopelessness without clear trigger, feeling off or foggy, disconnected from self, loss of motivation, energy crash, or emotional numbness, craving sugar, starchy carbs, salt. That's your body trying to DIY anti-inflammatory. Finally, reactions to tryptophan and serotonin supplements, making it worse, not better. Second, physical signs, bloating, digestive issues, morning stiffness, joint pain, especially upon waking, puffy face and hands, fluid retention, skin changes, acne rashes, sudden sensitivity, body feels heavy or sick, tired without actually being sick, poor sleep or waking between 2 to 4 a.m., which is the liver inflammation window, chronic pain that moves or flares without injury, limited mobility or muscle weakness. Symptoms flare during emotional stress or burnout, may get both pain and dissociation or brain fog. So now, what we can do about it, the left side. Reduce inflammation first, anti-inflammatory foods, turmeric, ginger, and omega-3, vagus nerve support, deep delta wave sleep, which is deep REM mode, holistic serotonin enhance is sunlight, vitamin D, walking, dance, rhythm. My reflections times 3 formula is great for this. Start with the 7-day check-in in my tool shop, connection, eye contact, safe touch, social laughter, restore the DRN pathway, bilateral music, drumming, slow rhythm movement. And finally, the nuance with if you're going to take a supplement, use GABA instead of serotonin supplements because the brain is not yet ready for serotonin. And there's a nuance there. Not all systems are receptive or have an adverse effect to GABA supplements. So stick with holistic if this is you. Tomorrow will be the last day of our Hope Circuit map. Before I erase this map, I want us to take one final look at what we've built over the past 7 weeks, because there's a reason this is called the Hope Circuit. This whole system is what helps us keep the lights on. The PFC helps us see the big picture. The recovery department helps us bounce back. The reward system helps us move toward tomorrow. And the DRN helps the baseline stay steady enough for all of it to work. This is the circuit for peace, connection, purpose, curiosity, love, and daring to believe in tomorrow. And because it's so precious, it's also vulnerable. The fear circuit can hijack it. Long-term stress can dim the lights. And that's why we protect it. We protect it with recovery after setback, real reward instead of chasing relief, rhythm and sleep, lowering inflammation, safe connections, creativity, and remembering that calm is allowed to land. It's my hope that over these past 7 weeks, I've left you with some useful tools for doing exactly that, protecting it, rebuilding it, and keeping the lights on. because we all have the power to influence tomorrow. Sometimes our science just needs the reminder. I need one day, just one, to erase this map and set up the new one. I'll be back the following day to talk to you about your brain's traffic cop, the orbital frontal cortex, the bridge between the hope circuit, default mode network, and fear circuit. What makes the hope circuit so powerful is that hope was never just one thing. It's command, recovery, reward, rebuilding, and now the chemistry that helps sustain the whole system. By understanding the DRN, serotonin balance, and the role inflammation can play in mental, emotional, and physical symptoms, we complete the final layer of this map. This is what makes healing feel less random. The system becomes visible, the patterns become workable, and the path forward becomes far easier to understand. That's the hope circuit. Forged in trauma, rising as warriors.